let's skip the Olympic thing for a second. Actually, you know what? No, we're going to go balls deep into the Olympics, guys. Hey, it's the Winter Olympics. And you remember our last Olympic episode breakdown where we said how disappointed we were that skateboarding was in there, that surfing was, they're trying to get rid of wrestling and weightlifting, a bunch of Muppets, and have the IOC, the International Olympic Committee, are a bunch of corrupt Muppets as well. A bunch of wet pork chops.
I do remember that.
Yeah.
You spoke about it in length for a very long time.
Turns out there's still a bunch of pork chops, all right? So,
what do you mean, Evan? What are they doing this time?
Okay. This whole scenario doesn't make any sense.
What scenario?
Okay. So to go to the Olympics, you're meant to adhere to a pretty strict drug testing standard. Okay?
No,
okay?
really? People take drugs in the Olympics?
In saying this, there is no, they say, we're the gold standard of drug testing. Well, they're pretty bad at it because a lot of people dope and get away with it. But when you catch someone with a banned substance in the system, what should that person have done to them?
Well, you get, there's like, what are the actions? I don't know if you get banned right away. Do you get like second chances and all that?
No. It is, if you get caught with a banned substance, especially under WADA, which is the World Anti-Doping Agency, it's like a straight 2 to 4 year ban depending on the substance and like the situation. Okay? You're banned.
So there's no like 1 strike, 2 strikes?
No.
You're just out of there.
If you get caught with a banned substance, you're out of there. And it does come down to the individual sport and what level of under the doping agency there is.
That's fair.
Yeah. So this is not like AFL. Don't even get me started on old AFL here, where it was like the 3 strike rule. I don't know if they've changed that. Hopefully they have. But basically, you could fail a drug test, and then they would basically just tell the player, all right, hey, you failed that one. And then like you'd fail 2 drug tests. They will tell the team and the trainer, and they wouldn't actually tell the media until the 3rd foul, 3 strikes, and then they get a small slap on the wrist. Which is why we had so many damn crack addicts like Ben Cousins running around playing footy, because they're all just pinging off drugs the whole time and not getting kicked out. It was ridiculous. So I don't know if AFL still does that, but you're useless with your drug testing. Sort it out.
But I mean, also, like, it's AFL. Like, who really?
Yeah.
Who really cares?
Who really cares? Yeah. No one outside of Australia, right? You're useless. Get out of here. All right? But anyhow, so let's go back to... Basically, when you get caught with a banned substance, you're meant to be banned. You're meant to be tossed out of the sport. Your name gets put up on a doping list. It's in the name of the
substance. It's called a banned substance.
Yeah. You can refute. You can say, hey, no, this was not right. This was an incident. And basically, you can go and say, this is everything that I'm taking. And they can go and do some tests. Like, you know what? That was actually a tainted batch. Technically, even if it's a tainted protein powder or something like that, and you did not take it knowingly and it was an accident, you're still meant to cop a ban. It's usually a reduced sentence.
There's an enormous list of banned substances that aren't steroids. There's just a lot of... It's a very underregulated industry, the supplement industry, I guess you could call it. And there are a lot of the things that aren't actually written on the containers or bottles that are in them. It's big in America as well. Australia has more strict...
Well, even in Australia, so many of the stuff you get over the counter in your local supplement shop will actually be tainted with banned substances, with steroids, with extra amphetamines. And the reason why is because they make them in these giant vats over in China or wherever they make them all in bulk, and they just don't clean out the vats very well. And so like you might do a whole batch of something that's got a banned substance, and then you go and do a protein powder next, and you're going to get residue from it. So you get contamination easily.
There's a list of batch tested stuff, basically, that you can get that's recommended by certain associations.
There's a third-party tested product.
And then you can use these products knowing full well that if you're taking these products, there's no banned substances in them. It's for that exact reason.
And so let's say you take one of those products, and it is even contaminated. You can be like, this is what I'm taking. They go away, they test it, they look at the batch number, they go and test independently another sample from that batch, and like, this was contaminated. Look, it was still in your system. You're still going to get a reduced sentence, basically. Okay?
Yeah. So they're supposed to be really strict. Right. And not even that, not even like general supplements, like some pre-workouts, for example. I think someone that I know went for the police force a couple of years ago, and they tested for opioids, and it was just something in the pre-workout that they were taking, which was banned in America, and it was banned in Australia, and it was banned after like 3 months of being released. And so the police were like, hey, you can't come in because...
Probably amphetamine, not
No, there was like an opioids one. There was a different one. Another friend I know, same thing. Like you ping for all sorts of different stuff. Like if you want a fun time, go get a drug test, but then take a bunch of pre-workouts first and see if what you're taking has banned substances in it. It's very underregulated, and that's why it's so strict here in Australia. Not as strict in America though.
Right. So here's now I've gone a little off topic. We just give you a little bit of insight into doping, what's meant to happen when you get caught. There is a fifth, and here we go again, right? Russia was meant to be kicked out of the Winter and Summer Olympics because they had state-sponsored doping. On a country-wide scale, their athletes were getting pumped full of gear, okay? And they were cheating and trying to cover it up. This was all revealed after Sochi Olympics, okay?
Yep.
The IOC chickened out. Instead of banning them, let them compete as the Russian Olympic Committee, the ROC, not Russia. But it's basically a bunch of Russian athletes competing for Russia.
So what does that mean, competing as the ROC? They can still get gold medals and represent Russia?
They get medals as the ROC, which is basically it. It's the Russian Olympic Committee. It's not the country of Russia. It's ridiculous. It was some loophole. IOC let them do it. It's a joke. Anyhow, so now they're allowed to compete, even though they shouldn't be. Their 15-year-old superstar figure skater, right? Tests hot for a banned substance.
15-year-old?
15 years old, right?
Don't you have to be older than 15 to compete in the Olympics?
I think it's done sort of sport by sport.
Okay.
But either way, she's 15. She's at the Olympics. She tests hot for a banned substance.
Ice skating.
Okay.
What sort of steroids do you take for ice skating?
You can take, but it doesn't have to be steroids. It could be beta blockers, steroids. It could be diuretic. It could be anything. If it's on the banned list, it's not allowed.
Okay.
It's as simple as that. It's black and white. If it's on the banned list, you can't have it in your system.
Yep.
She tests hot, right? Melts the cup. Okay, I don't know how much, but she tests hot.
Then what happens, Nev? What happens next?
What should happen is that she says, the IOC says, you know what, you're actually not allowed to compete. Sorry, and then we're going to actually give you a ban. And if you think it's an issue, you can object to it, and we'll do further testing.
Management.
Correct. Yeah. Instead, they said, "Oh, she's only 15. I mean, she probably didn't know what she was taking if she's only 15. Maybe it's the people around her that were giving it to her." And you know what?
So?
Do you know what her excuse was?
What?
What her parents' excuse for her was?
What?
Was that, that product is in a medication that her granddad takes, and that she probably picked it up from him by accident by sharing the same glass of water or by washing the dishes in the same sink. And the IOC goes, "Oh, well, that explains it. You know what? 15-year-old, you can compete." What a freaking joke. Now, don't get me wrong. I feel bad for her because here's the deal. She's 15.
Well,
she's not going out to her gym and sourcing out all the steroids or bands or amphetamines. She's 15 years old.
It's not even about her. Unfortunately, 15-year-old girl competing in the Olympics getting duped for, let's say her trainers were giving it to her. Sorry, this is a good learning experience for you. Your trainer's fired and you're still banned. You don't get a special
exactly
treatment just because you're 15. You get the same treatment as everyone else.
And here's the deal: they've not actually put forward any evidence that that she was contaminated from her grandpa by accident. All right, so the IOC still lets you compete, and you know what they say? We're going to let you compete. Now she's one of the favorites to win the events. All right, she's like a superstar figure skater.
Yeah,
is that if you win a medal, even though you've tested hot, and we're going to let you compete anyway. If you win a medal, we're just not going to have a medal ceremony. And you'll get your medal, but it won't be, televised. It'll be a private thing. No flower ceremony. Can you imagine if you had been working hard your whole life to go to the Olympics?
Yeah.
You get a podium spot and you don't get your medal ceremony because the IOC has allowed an athlete that's been caught with a banned substance to compete with you, while her country shouldn't even be allowed to compete. Yeah. Russia, sort your out. Look, IOC, sort your out.
You know what's happening?
It's actually a joke.
It's atrocious. It should not be happening.
It's a joke.
It's hurting more people than it's helping. It's just ridiculous. But you know what's happening? I know what's happening.
Before you say you know what's happening, I want to reiterate. I don't think this 15-year-old girl knowingly went out and took something that was on the banned list. I don't.
No.
If it was an accident, it was contamination, or it was given to her by her trainers, by her parents, someone in her circle. All right, I feel terrible for her because she ended up falling on her thing, and she didn't get it. She came fourth, right? So they were allowed to. The other people were allowed to enjoy their medals, you know. But the whole idea is absolutely outrageous.
It is,
and the IOC should be embarrassed, and Russia should be embarrassed.
I mean, what's the point of having the rules in the first place if you're not going to follow them?
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, you know what? You know what it is, though.
What?
It's Putin. It's 100%. It's the Russians. It's the Russians asserting their dominance.
Well, they're saying,
probably from in the shadows.
If we let her compete, maybe they won't invade Ukraine. Like what?
No, you got to think about stuff like that. There's someone in the IOC that set those rules, and then there should be someone in the IOC that goes, "She pinged?
Yeah,
all right, she's banned."
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah.
You know what didn't happen? That. So you know why that didn't happen?
Yeah.
That person stood up and went, "She's banned," and then someone from Russia went, your family's going to die if she's banned. And then they were like, oh, maybe it was a grandpa or something from the sink, or I don't know. And that's got to be how it happened.
Who knows?
It's got to be.
Either way, the whole thing is disappointing.
There's pressure from someone somewhere. It is.
What it does is it diminishes
any authority that they have.
It diminishes any credibility they have.
Yeah.
And it diminishes all the hard work that the athletes are putting in.
It's supposed to be a gold standard. So when you say something is an Olympic level, that's supposed to be the highest standard of human performance. That's the peak, the pinnacle. That's as hard as anyone can push and the best that anyone can achieve, right? That's supposed to be the top, and it should be treated as such, as the highest quality event. And the highest quality event, those rules are there for a reason. And if you set rules and don't follow them, what's the point? It means that that's not the pinnacle. That's not, if we're letting people do that, letting people dope, letting people compete on an uneven playing field, then that just isn't what you're going for. You're creating something that isn't a high quality event. But to reiterate what I said in a previous podcast, just let the people dope. Let them choose.
Let them choose.
Natural versus unnatural.
My body, my choice.
Test every single athlete in the tested division and don't test one athlete in the untested division. I would tune in to watch both. I would watch the untested and the tested Olympics. I want to see the comparison.
I would just watch the untested Olympics. You know why?
A lot of people
because it's going to be
way
so much
cooler.
better than the normal Olympics.
But you have a good comparison there.
Right.
And they should do the ceremonies at the same time, and everyone should be presented their medals at the same time, and everyone should be recognized at the same time, but they should be recognized as tested and untested. This is the pinnacle of human performance at its best, natural. And then this is what you can do with science.
Yeah.
And that's what it should be. It shouldn't be like someone working for 30 years of their life with everything they've got, every inch, blood, sweat, tears, the whole lot, and then just getting outdone by someone who's taking steroids.
Yeah.
Right? Like training exactly as hard, but I just can't train as hard as someone who's taking steroids.
Right.
That's how it works. It's
and
silly.
And this girl, I don't think it was steroids that was caught in her system, but it was a banned substance nonetheless.
There has to be a strict.
If it's on the banned list, it's banned. You just can't have it.
Because there's always going to be those people that try to
100%
work the system. So the
people
testing criteria has to be strict.
And people out there like, well, what if it's not a steroid and they're not getting like? But here's the thing, guys. They also ban stuff that masks steroids. Do you know what I mean? It's not just the performance enhancers. It's all the things that have to do, like, it's a comprehensive list.
I do have
to all the athletes.
I do have one issue with one time that an athlete got banned.
Ooh.
I feel like was unfair. It was unjust, and it was a little over the top.
What happened?
I think it was an Australian athlete, a swimmer, if I do remember correctly. Someone got pinged for smoking marijuana.
What?
And they said that it was a performance-enhancing drug, and he was no longer allowed to compete. I feel like this is false.
Well, here's the deal. It's on the banned list, right?
It is on the banned list.
So what did you say before?
They got banned, right?
They did get banned.
But it was on the banned list because it's because it is a performance-enhancing drug.
So let me ask you a question, right? Just like everything.
Yeah.
Different substances affect people differently.
Yeah.
Correct? Yeah. So some people, when they get a little high, might just have to lie down. Some people might be able to go and do a 100-meter sprint, right? But they're relaxed. They're calm. So if you suffer from anxiety, right, but you can still physically perform when you take just a small amount of weed. I don't even talk about getting high. Just like a small amount of weed. One little puff here.
Okay.
But it calms your nerves, and now you're not freaking out before competition. That's performance enhancing, sir. And either way, it's on the banned list. Whether they're saying it's a recreational drug or a performance enhancer,
it should be banned as a recreational drug that is on the banned list. Okay. They specifically ban them for taking performance enhancing drugs.
Right.
That is not.
But if it calms you down and you can physically
there
perform,
are classes of drugs. It is a depressant. It is not a stimulant. It is not something that directly enhances performance.
So it does though. So this is the same with beta blockers.
Yeah.
Right. So and this is, have you ever watched Bigger, Stronger, Faster? It's a documentary on how basically performance enhancers are everywhere, even in symphony orchestra. Right now, when you think performance enhancers,
I'm interested. And I
when you think performance enhancers, you don't think the violins, the flutes, all right, the flautists.
Yeah.
But basically, this guy was like, I am a great musician, but I get so nervous before I play, so I take beta blockers, and when I go out there, I could be performing naked in front of 10 million people, and I wouldn't care. So basically, a beta blocker, no, it doesn't. It's not anabolic. It doesn't make you stronger. It doesn't help your lung capacity, but it calms him down and he can perform better. So you don't have to be physically enhanced to be a performance enhancer, in my opinion.
Yeah, okay. I understand where you're coming from. I'm thinking about it more strictly in the realms of classification of substances and how they affect you physiologically.
But you can get performance enhancers that aren't anabolic. Like you can get a steroid is anabolic, it builds muscle, and therefore it enhances your physical performance.
Mm-hmm.
But things that caffeine, for example, can also enhance your physical performance. But it used to be banned, but now it's not. It used to be banned, yeah. Right? But it's not anabolic, it's a stimulant. So there are lots of different things. They can be in different categories and still be performance enhancing, in my opinion.
Yeah. All right. I'll concede on this one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Victory.
Okay. I still don't think that it's a performance enhancing drug, though.
Right. Well, it's not anabolic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I understand how it can enhance performance.
It can enhance performance. Yeah. So by definition.
I guess. Yeah. I guess.
Uh-huh.
All right. Moving on.